Well, welcome to the Zip Code Bros episode Ocho with our very, very, very special guest, Alison Faye. Alison,
Hi.
welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Boys, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Love it. I love it.
Awesome.
Jimmy's got a sore nose by the looks of it.
Yeah.
He's been drinking too much.
Yeah, he's flushed. But I was going to say, save that for our Doink episode. Dizoink. Alison, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just spending another rainy day at home. Just happy to be joining you guys tonight, especially for the Ocho. I mean, who doesn't love the Ocho?
The Ocho, I love it. I love that you know that reference.
Absolutely. I just watched that movie the other day.
New shorts.
What?
Hudson needs new shorts.
So,
Right. Okay.
All right. Sure, Jimmy.
It's on dodgeball. The movie.
how's your so other than the rainy days, have you been able to do anything this weekend with your son?
Weekends have been good with my son. This weekend, we're not doing anything because of the
Okay.
rain, unfortunately.
Oh,
So,
you guys
get
doing
ki-
indoor activities?
yeah, it's a lot of electronics and studying because high school is high school.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He had midterms and now it's Romeo and Juliet time. So
Oh, I like it.
yeah, I don't know if you guys remember that, but that is no fun for a high schooler.
I remember reading Great Expectations. That was my Romeo and Juliet. I could not get through it. It was brutal.
Yeah, for him, it's with the autism, he likes reading only the things he wants to read. So if it's not something he wants to read, zero interest.
So I'm just gonna time out right there. So that's only because of the autism. That has nothing to do with he's 16 years old.
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
Nope.
Well, you're in good company with us, so thank you for
Yeah.
coming on. Adam Jefferson, newest top guy. I want to hear one man's thoughts on the first overall pick in this year's draft on you. What do you think?
I'm
The guy with CJ should have been CJ Stroud.
the thing that bothered me with CJ Stroud is that aptitude test that he got an 18% on. You don't want to see a quarterback scoring that low.
Yeah.
But Bryce, I mean, he's got the whole size issue, being a little shorter, a little lighter weight-wise than an NFL quarterback should be. So I think there's kind of a catch-22 where you're going to get an idiot or you're going to get a smart guy. So, Charlotte's about 2 hours from me. So that's, a lot of Panther territory right here. So everybody seems to still be happy despite the shortcomings, for pun intended, that Bryce has.
That's fine. So Ben, we had the NFL draft this past weekend, and the number one overall pick was Bryce Young out of Alabama, and he went to the Carolina Panthers. So every year we're all draft what they call draft pundits. We all think we know. We all eat all of it. Well, we all eat all of it as much as we can, read all of it as much as we can. So I know Adam's a big football guy, and especially being a football coach, I'm always curious a pro's opinion of something like the draft. But
the Jaguars, which is my team, we drafted a offensive tackle out of Oklahoma in the first round. The next Grillian JR, I know Jim Ross is going to bring that up for sure.
Oh, sweet.
But other than that, we went pretty defensively. I mean, it was basically linebackers and defensive backs.
You guys don't need any offensive players.
Oh, we need somebody to protect Trevor Lawrence, and hopefully we got that with the tackle out of Oklahoma. I would like to see D lineman or two picked as well, but I think we did okay.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got 3 stud receivers. You guys got 2 solid running backs. And you got a stud quarterback. So, I mean, really, it was just a matter of, like you said, protecting the quarterback and adding to that defense so they can stop Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's it's what it comes down to. You build your team around stopping the best players in football.
Oh, for sure.
Allen, I'll do a side rant right now. What do you think about Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets, Jets?
Ugh. The Jets seem to be following this trend that the Rams started a few years ago, where you put all your chips in for one season, and just hope it works out for you. The Broncos did that, signing Russell Wilson and all that, and that didn't work out for them. Hoping the Jets, do better, but knowing how Aaron is as a person and a teammate, I don't think it's going to go the way a lot of people think it is.
I mean, last year they're a 10-win team last year with a guy like Aaron Rodgers. As suffice to say, he plays the whole season. You know, so yeah.
If he plays the whole season, they'll do good. It's just, is Aaron gonna be Aaron and kind of ice out people that he doesn't like? And that was, I think, one of the first home games for the Packers. He threw to their rookie wide receiver and he dropped it, and so he didn't throw to him for the rest of the game. And
I remember that.
You can't do that and be successful long term.
No, they got Alan Lazard over there, but I mean, Garrett Wilson's a stud. Corey Davis is I was surprised they didn't cut Corey Davis and save some cap room.
I know.
But I digress, because I can go on about the Jets forever. Alison, you a Jets fan or Giants fan?
Neither.
I'm afraid to listen.
No, I actually don't follow football very
Okay.
much at all, but my brother is a diehard 49ers fan.
Okay. All right.
So if I follow the Niners.
All right,
We
cool.
I grew up in the Montana era, so
Oh, no kidding. I'm over here in Coeur d'Alene.
yeah, so
Look at that. And now
Yeah.
you're over by we like
I
we
know.
live in the same places, just never at the same time.
I know. I'll tell you though, right now, I'm watching the playoff hockey, and my team just lost. So
Oh.
they're
Who's
out,
your
and
team?
I'm very sad.
Who's
The
your team?
Islanders are out, and I am sad about that. So now
Yep.
I'm just going to stick with the minor league hockey, and my team is rolling, and I am loving it. So
Is it Bridgeport?
no, actually, believe it or not, this is the crazy part. My team is the Rangers team, the Rangers farm team,
the Wolf.
the
Pack?
Hartford Wolfpack.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
fun.
they're rolling all over Pyre's Providence Bruins right now.
That's awesome.
So you
Sorry,
and Pyers,
Pyers.
you and Mr. Anthony Pyers are in a heated exchange right now with.
Right now, I'm trying to be nice and not say anything.
Well, he's a good man. He'll get over it.
And he's a good man, so he won't say anything.
No, he is.
He's a great
definitely
man.
good man. He's
He
definitely
is.
a good man, Mr. Fire.
Go Pats!
Go Pads. Mr. Jones, how you doing today?
Yeah, really good today. I've had a pretty good week, and I am with the boys at the moment, so I haven't seen them for a while. So picked them up from school on Friday and done a bunch of things. So later on today, we're off to see the Mario movie, and at the moment they're out in the main area playing PlayStation 5, so that I
Sweet.
can do this. But yeah, it's always the best time when I'm with them, because I miss them. So
That's great, man. That's great to hear.
You're gonna love the movie.
Yeah, we saw the movie last
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was great. The
It was.
Easter eggs are awesome. The soundtrack is awesome. Like, everybody does a great job. It's not a silly character. It's not a crazy spoof on itself or anything like that.
I got one question for you, Mr. Jones. Have you seen
Yo.
Have you seen Jack Black in the browser outfit on the Kelly Clarkson show?
No.
That was pretty funny.
You need to see it then.
That was pretty funny.
Okay.
That is my recommendation before you go see it, because it's quite.
Okay. All right.
Quite
Cool.
entertaining.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, just put Jack Black. I would just put Super Mario cast on Kelly Clarkson.
It was great.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. I'll check it out.
cool. Well, last and certainly least, Mr. Jimmy Sorensen.
Mhm.
So my man Jimmy last night, definitely not least. I love this brother. So last night, I went out with a friend, did things that we got into a fight, unfortunately, really upset me. It was maybe like 11 at night, and I had been drinking, so I was, my head was already gone as far as you know, what a rational person would think of. So of course, you know, you sit there, and I love the Amy Winehouse lyric, you know, you in your head you paint a picture of what you're doing, right? And it's not, you start painting a picture of everything. So I got in my head, and last night about it was 11:11, and I looked at the the Top Guy chat, and I hopped into the waiting room, and Jimmy saw me, so he called me, and he hung on the phone with me about 30 minutes and kind of talked me off the ledge. So I joke when I say certainly least, because you're definitely not certainly, you're not really not least. You're my man. And Mr. Jimmy Sorensen, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing okay. My mom's in town. Kind of going to bed. Helping me do some packing a little bit. I needed a woman's touch with putting stuff that here and there in boxes and totes and everything. And so I was not too prideful to ask my mom for help because moving is always a challenge. Like I haven't done it that much, but this time it just seemed like the world was on my shoulders, and my mom helped me this time. And is currently falling asleep or playing on a tablet or something. But just thankful for every opportunity I've gotten to meet so many incredible people, from Mr. Gallagher to Mr. Jones to Mr. Jefferson, and certainly, and not least, the wonderful, the majestic, the beautiful Alison Faye.
So you know what they say though, Jimmy, as Michael Jackson once said, when the world is on your shoulder, you got to straighten up and boogie down. That's what you did.
Mhm.
But I'm glad you called your mom when you recognized you needed some help. So that was great.
From the time it worked out perfectly. We don't see each other quite often, but the last 2 weeks we've seen each other, and it's been good talking with her and showing her how Carter's changed. So this time,
Yes.
the next episode, I'll be recording in a new setup.
Sweet. Live from
Awesome.
the Jimmy Arena.
We'll go with that.
Well, my
Also-
house, so
Also known as the trailer.
well, we'll make it. It's
What I said, the trailer, not a trailer, the trailer.
like the trailer, like DA trailer,
Yeah,
like the trailer.
the trailer.
The trailer. I like that one. Well, it's like, so me and my buddies, we call each other's houses different types of arenas. So my buddy's AJ is AJ Faris. He's AJ. It's Faris Field. My buddy Nick Ehlers is Ehlers Arena. And since my friends call me Gurr, I'm the Gurr Rape Center.
We'll go with this. So
Waka waka waka.
Waka waka waka, right? You
in
like
honor
that?
of Allison, I'll name
But
it.
the Kool he used to say the Kool-Aid Gurr Rape Center.
As,
Because it had to be sponsored, apparently.
so since Allison's a Niners fan, I'll
Yeah.
call it the Sorensen Santa Fe Center.
The Sorensen Saddle Dome.
So, Mike, what about your week, mate?
My
Yeah.
week has been pretty good for the most part. I've been in training for a new job, so that's been pretty cumbersome. I don't want to say boring, because God, thank you, I have a job. So yes.
What is this job?
I'm doing auto claims again, fire and theft. So if your car is either stolen, or is your car set on fire, or if your car is stolen and set on fire, I'll be handling your claim.
Okay, so let's hope we don't have to get Gallagher involved.
I was gonna say, yeah, you probably don't want to talk to me.
No.
This segment is sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts.
I am Groot. So I'm definitely gonna, just because I'm wearing the shirt, I'm gonna drop a few of those in this chat today. So I apologize for being that guy. Although I have like a ton of Office quotes in my head that I'm just like
I
dying
know.
about
I
looking out in the
apologize.
background.
It's my default. I am obsessed.
I'm good.
So our next segment today. Well, before we go into our first official segment of the show, Ben, actually, no, Allison, who are we talking to about today?
We are talking about the man who is my all-time favorite wrestler. So I appreciate you guys inviting me for this this episode. We are talking about the one and only Rowdy Roddy Piper.
A hot rod.
Hot Rod.
I
Oof.
watched his documentary again today, and he's definitely one of those guys that I'm like, I appreciate more now in my later years that I've been a fan. And you guys like Bobby Heenan, guys like, I'll throw the guy like The Miz in there, just guys I really appreciate. But Rowdy Piper, I'm watching his documentary again today, and I was showing Ben before, I got pages of notes here on to go over with all you guys. But and I'm definitely and I definitely want to hear a nice story or two from you, Allison, just about why he's your favorite and all that. We'll get to all of that too. But just watching the documentary today, it's just, he was so good. And they always say Jericho reinvented himself. Rowdy Piper never got boring.
Nope.
I don't
When
think
Piper
there's ever-
talked, you listen.
Yeah. I don't think one person ever said I'm tired of Piper or you got to go away or booed him because they were tired of him, like they used to boo Hulk Hogan at the end before he turned heel. So it's he main evented both flagship shows. He main evented WrestleMania 1 and he main evented Starrcade 96 with both with Hulk Hogan. I mean, and it was as relevant in 1996 as it was in 1985. And that's why, and I think a lot had to do with Rowdy Piper with that. And there was one line, and we'll get into Adam's segment in a second, but there was a line with Hulk Hogan. He's giving a promo. He's talking about Roddy Piper, what he did, and you hit the captain over the head, and you put the boots of Cyndi Lauper, and you crippled David Wilf, and you scared Dick Clark so bad he's never going to be the same again. I'm like, that's such a 1985 promo from Hogan. It's like, and he ain't never gonna be the same again. It's like when he goes, it's like when he's going, it's like when he's the Saturday night's main event and he's going with Elizabeth. Oh my gosh, doctor! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my god, man, that stuff is priceless. Adam, this week, what was going on this week in the last history?
In the last history.
This week in pro wrestling history with Mr. Adam Jefferson, a new top guy.
Yes, very happy to make that jump. Early birthday gift from my amazing, beautiful wife, and just very happy to finally be a top guy. But as for this week in pro wrestling history, we're starting off with April 25th, 1999. In Your House Backlash is the last WWE pay-per-view to have the In Your House name at the front of it.
Interesting. I like that one.
April 25th, 2000. Good old David Arquette becomes WCW champion. Some say that's a okay day in pro wrestling history, some not so much. Knowing what we know now about David Arquette, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be.
No, I think it was fine. I totally dug it at the time.
It's a lot better than Russo winning the title.
Oh yeah. April 26, 1998, WWF In Your House Unforgiven sees Stone Cold Steve Austin make his first defense as WWF champion against Dude Love, and Undertaker and Kane have the first ever Inferno match.
I was listening to Mick Foley's podcast today about Dude Love turning heel. Just listening to that match. It was a good story. If you guys, I don't know if you guys are Foley's pod fan, but it was a good episode.
Love Foley's pod. I think it's makes a great storyteller for sure.
He's a fantastic storyteller.
April 27th, 1999, WWF tapes the pilot episode of SmackDown. This is the episode of SmackDown where the corporate ministry is formed.
Oh, the infamous corporate ministry.
Yes, the Ministry of Darkness and the corporation come together to form the corporate ministry. And then April 28th, 1995, WCW and New Japan combined to put on the Collision in Korea with an announced attendance, and this is announced from North Korean officials, of a record-breaking 150,000 on night one. And then 24 hours later, they break that record because they somehow found 40,000 more people. And night two saw 190,000 attend, which, you know, knowing North Korea, obviously, I don't believe that many people attended that thing. And, you know,
Are
you
there
watch
many- Are there that many people in North Korea anymore?
that's the thing is like, in that Dark Side of the Ring episode they did about it, you know, some WCW wrestlers found out, oh, you're required to attend if you're a North Korean or you'll be executed. So I guess they decided to spare 40,000 people and just have them attend on night two. Birthdays. AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter was born April 23rd, 1985, and she shares a birthday with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who was born April 23rd, 1991.
That's actually pretty cool that they share the
Yeah,
same birthday.
I thought so too. It's kind of a
Yeah.
Also this week, John Cena celebrated a birthday, April 23rd, 1977. One final birthday, Kane was born April 26th, 1967.
Mayor of Knox County.
Here in Knox County, Tennessee.
Can we do one honorary birthday?
Okay.
Ben, when was your mom's birthday?
Oh, that was on the 20th of April.
Or the 20th. That was the first one.
Yeah,
Your
she
mom's
turned
birthday-
70.
your
Thank you,
mom's bir-
Jimmy.
Your mom's birthday's on 420.
Yeah, although she wouldn't understand the reference.
I'm officially. I mean, would it be weird if I started singing Me and Mrs. Jones?
Well, her surname is not Jones, so it's yeah. No, thanks for that shout out, Jimmy. That was very sweet of you.
Very nice.
Cool. Is that Adam, or you got anything else for us? Any
Oh,
other?
that's that. That's our history and birthdays in pro wrestling this week.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. So now we go on to our wrestler spotlight, Rowdy Roddy Piper. So Roddy Piper was born in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan on April 17th. So we're not that far removed from him. What would have been his, let's see, he was born in 1954. So that makes him
66. No, 6.
No.
7.
he would have been 68.
68.
He would have been 68.
Yeah.
Was raised in Winnipeg. I'm just reading this off of Wikipedia real quick. He was raised in Winnipeg. When he was in high school, I think everybody knows the story. I'm not going to go through it. When he was in high school, he hooked up with a priest. Priest told him about wrestling. Went down there, got the snot beat out of him for a couple of days, couple weeks, and then became a pro wrestler. So, Alison,
It's disappointing to.
Yeah.
Mike, I was just going to say it's disappointing to learn that he wasn't born in Scotland. I mean, honestly.
I
Oh,
shed a
that's
tear.
so funny.
I shed a tear.
Roddy the Piper.
He fooled us. He did.
He did.
Yes, he did. He didn't even try to speak with a Scottish accent either. How dare he? I don't know. I've met a lot of Scottish people from Canada, though. I've met a lot of Canadian men who wear kilts. Haven't you all? Right? Come on.
Can't say I have.
Alison, when did you first become a fan or become aware of Roddy Piper?
Probably WrestleMania 1. Maybe even before then. But I didn't become a huge fan of his until his feud with Cyndi Lauper and Captain Lou. When that happened, I was in love. That was it. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I mean, Cyndi Lauper and Captain Lou were my hook, I'll call it.
Okay.
That's what hooked me. Because it was my two favorite things.
Yeah.
I
I
mean-
don't think people realize how big Cyndi Lauper was.
No. I don't, and the fact that she's still not in the Hall of Fame is
Yeah.
a travesty.
It's crazy. But
It's
I don't, that was one of the things that I wrote down is, so we'll talk about it, but we'll just kind of start talking about it now though. You mentioned the water settled the score. Cyndi Lauper did. Cyndi Lauper was as popular as Taylor Swift is now.
100%. And I'll tell you this, I've seen her in concert today. The woman doesn't need auto-tune. That's how
great.
good she still is.
Oh, yeah.
But that was the first thing. And the next was Piper's Pit. To watch him verbally berate people and you were cheering him on.
You were laughing.
I think I'm gonna get this right, but I believe he hit Jimmy Snuka with a coconut,
Yes, he did.
correct?
That's-
What was that? Like, and it blew my mind. Like, this is the greatest thing I'm watching on TV, and it's not wrestling, but I am thoroughly entertained and I want to see more of this.
And every Piper's Pit was memorable.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah,
had
And they
every
were
single
not
one.
the same.
what
It
was
wasn't
the,
always the same.
what was WrestleMania 5 or 6? I think it was 5. Thank you. When he had Brother Love getting Bruce down into his skivvies. After that, though, he had I forget the actor's name.
Morton Downey Jr.
Downey
Morton
Jr.
Downey Jr., thank you. Like,
Barry
so
Springer.
would you please not? Would you not blow the smoke in my face, please?
Oh,
How many times do I have to tell you not to blow the smoke in my face?
Oh.
Hey, could you light me a cigarette? Turns around. The fire extinguisher.
That was great.
I
And I
mean-
will say this about Roddy Piper. He was a good looking man.
I think
no
Allison,
complaints here.
I think
No, I
Allison's
was-
still
right?
fantasizing
Like, I mean,
about
like
it.
I'm looking at him like he's got this big smile. He's got like he looked like a movie star. Like he was a good looking guy.
And he always had great hair.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I'll be honest
There
with
it
you.
is.
I made sure my hair was good today just because you were coming on the show.
I'm trying to go my hair out like Piper.
I like it. Yeah, he was always in good shape.
don't like
He
this
was
game.
always ready.
Hey, Ben, you know I think bald is fantastic, right?
Ben, do I need
Alright.
to, can I
Okay.
buy some stuff from from a store from Hair Growth and send it to you so you can get some up here?
Nope. Just ask
Jimmy,
Brad.
there's no point. There's no point.
No, just ask Brad. I think bald is right up there with a good head of hair. So
Well,
Okay. Thank
If
you,
can
Allison.
Rock it.
You're welcome.
If you can rock it, it's a good look.
but I
That's
mean-
right.
but I mean,
And you
but
can
Allison,
rock it.
let's be honest. You do fantasize about Adam's hair.
well,
Occasionally.
have you seen it since it got cut?
No, I have actually. Yeah, and it's
So-
awful.
But Piper had also, he had a unique look. Who else could rock a kilt with a leather jacket?
No one else.
Mm.
No, hasn't been done since.
Ronda Rousey.
Shut up, Gallagher.
But it's
Now-
all but to your point, Allison, it's all a in appreciation of Piper. So like the reason
Absolutely.
so yeah, I mean, so yeah, she does do it, but it's not like a look. But no,
No, and
I was
she
thinking the same exact thing today. Like I'm like, nobody ever like even questioned the
Nope.
kilt.
no, and that right there shows the confidence level. It shows, I'm gonna use an old word, shows the machismo he had. like-
Machismo.
That's what it was. He walked out with that confidence level and nobody batted an eye.
And when he was about ready to have a match, he'd always call it a fight. He'd
Always.
always
Yeah,
treat it.
that's a great
Awesome
point for
match.
him. Yeah. But
What about some of his matches, Allison? What are one or two of your favorite Roddy Piper matches?
so I will be honest, my memory sucks. But anytime he fought Hulk Hogan, I was 100% in.
All right. So that was so going back to the, going back to the Cyndi Lauper thing, the one thing that I really wanted to really kind of put over was like, it was such a huge deal when that all happened. Like the MTV thing, the Cyndi Lauper, like imagine Roman Reigns and imagine Roman Reigns, feuding with Taylor Swift in a WWE ring. Like that is what the equivalent is.
Well, I look at like Snoop Dogg, I look at Bad Bunny, and I love it.
Oh, it's great.
So I think it's great, but I do not think we could do exactly what you're saying today. I do not think Taylor Swift could jump in the ring. I do not think we could get, give me another name, like Lil Kim or, another young.
Gravy. I don't know why that name just stuck in my head.
I don't think we
Who's?
could get another young pop star in the ring today.
Oh, that's fine.
No.
There's a
and-
rapper that just came to my local college, performed. His name's Young Gravy.
Young Gravy, okay.
I'm just like,
I don't see it. I don't see
No.
somebody with that energy, that stuff. I mean, you also got to remember, her style was off the charts back then.
Oh,
She was unique. She was herself. She fought all the norms.
yes, she did.
she is a trailblazer in her own right, in her own way.
Absolutely.
She was.
Like untouchable
Mhm.
when it comes to pop culture icons.
Yep.
And David Wolf was a huge record guy too. So I mean, like the fact that those two put themselves in that position to do that with the WWF at the time, I mean, it was. And again, you're also talking about a network that only had 5 or 6 channels. It was such a huge. It was just such a huge deal when that happened, and I think that Piper doesn't get enough credit. I heard Hogan say that he was a big player in it, but I think you want to see Piper get his comeuppance.
I agree.
You don't want to see Hulk Hogan just beat the crap out of somebody. You want to see Piper get the shit beat out of him, and that's what you got.
And today, we consider him one of, if not the greatest talkers ever
Yeah.
in wrestling history.
When he was on, I had wrote this down. When he was on, nobody could touch him with a promo. But I think because he had such a great promo, they let him say whatever the hell he wanted, and that wasn't always the best idea.
A lot better than Warrior.
I bet Warrior. Ben, when were you first?
If you notice, if you notice as well with Piper on the mic, he always had the mic in his hand, because if he gave the mic to anyone else, he's lost control. So he keeps control by holding on to that mic, and then he's in charge. That's his show to run. So
If he wasn't in a leather jacket,
yeah, that was something that I noticed.
he was also in a denim blue jacket.
Yep. But mostly that leather, that leather jacket though kind of followed him throughout. Ben, when you first introduced to Hot Rod?
So similar to Alison, really. WrestleMania 1 was the first time that I saw him. And my first impression was he just straight out slapped Mr. T in the face, the biggest TV star in the world. And Mr. T just punked him, like right there in the middle of the ring. I was like, who is this guy? Like, what the? And then after the match, he just knocked out Pat Patterson, who was the guest referee. And I thought, this guy doesn't handle losing very good, does he? And I had to see more of him. So, and that's when I went back and saw the Piper's Pit where he hit Snooker with a coconut, like a shoot coconut. They didn't work things back then, you know. And just his overall look, like Alison said, you know, the kilt, the leather jacket. Oh, he didn't really have the leather jacket back in those days, but one thing that I picked up on with the kilt is while he owned it, he had the confidence and all that. The baby faces would use that against him and call it a skirt, and basically saying that he's not a real man and all this sort of thing, which at the time was like a subtle dig, but obviously couldn't get away with that now. And he didn't really wrestle on TV very often. So you just think, you see him on Piper's Pit running his mouth, and you think, why can't someone just grab hold of him and just shut him up?
Hey, Ben,
Because, yeah,
did Piper ever need a belt was Piper one of those rare guys that never needed a belt?
he definitely didn't need one, but I think it would have helped his case as an all-time great if he had one. And I was going to go into this as well, but his feud with Hogan could have lasted a lot longer if he didn't protect his character so much and did some jobs. And then you got, because all their matches ended in disqualifications or countouts, and eventually people picked up on that, and they were like, well, you know, feud over.
What would have been better than him versus Hogan versus Piper in the cage at WrestleMania 2 rather than him versus Bundy?
That would have been epic.
Right? Imagine
Those
that
two,
main event.
yeah.
Piper versus Hogan, right? Because if they did it for T, they could have done it for Hogan. It was the same story they were telling.
Exactly.
So,
and
I did. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, James, go ahead.
I
James.
was just going to say, yeah, go, Jimmy.
I'm just like, by that point, hadn't he been in the business for like 7 years at that point?
He got into the business only because I was watching it today, the late 70s. So like 75, 76. Actually, I can tell you right now, professional wrestling career. By late 75 and 76, Piper was a top villain for NWA Hollywood Wrestling. So he started wrestling in that 73, 75. So by that time, he'd been in the business for about 10, 12 years.
So like, I mean, by that point, didn't necessarily need to be in the ring 24/7. Like,
No.
because he like,
Yeah, probably.
Because at that point he was already like, Briscoes weren't featured heavily in the 80s. They were more 70s. By like 83, they had not fizzled out, but more of a backstage role. But Piper, he was so big that namesake that he had become a special attraction.
He was 31 during WrestleMania. The first WrestleMania, he was 31. That's insane.
See, I look at that feud with Hogan and think, if they had have really stretched it out, we might not have got Hogan and Andre at WrestleMania 3. We might not have got the Mega Powers at WrestleMania 4.
Well,
that
if you
feud
think
could have
about it,
lasted.
if you really want to think about it, what happened Andre and Hogan happened on Piper's Pit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's but yeah, it's amazing to think that, and also the importance of that feud is so underrated, because, like Alison was saying, if there's no Cyndi Lauper, there's no Piper and Hogan, and if there's no Piper and Hogan, like, to headline WrestleMania 1, like, with, you know, as a tag team match, what happens to WWE now? Is it even still around? It might not have been a success if that wasn't the, you know, main event.
And I think that's the question that they were trying, that they brought back up in '96 was, well, who sold WrestleMania? Really, was it Piper? Was it Hogan? Was it that people wanted to see Piper get his butt kicked, or did they want to see Hulk Hogan? You know, or they want to see Hulk Hogan kick Piper's butt?
Then you could ask the question: was it because Piper's Pit was so successful? Is that why they then went with the Brother Love character and his segment? And then you can ask the question, because that was so successful, did they use Brother Love to bring in the Undertaker? I mean, you can do this. What is it? The 7 degrees of separation thing here. Yeah. You can start doing that whole thing with all of this.
But it seems like
all those talk show segments started with Piper's Pit.
Right.
You know, the highlight reel with Jericho, the Snake Pit, Jake Roberts, like all these spin-offs.
But Piper was still in the Mid-Atlantic in the 80s, in 82.
Yeah.
But am I wrong? Was there something before Piper's Pit like that?
I don't think so.
No, not in WWE.
I don't think
that I'm aware of.
Sure there might have. I'm sure somebody had a segment somewhere at some point, but I don't think there was any show.
Buddy Rogers had something briefly in like the early 80s, I remember, but certainly nothing like Piper's Pit.
No, I think Piper's Pit was the first of its kind. And again, every single Piper's Pit was memorable. Every
Piper's
single
Pit.
one. Like I could probably rattle off every single Piper's Pit off the top of my head just because every single one was memorable. You had, I mean, you had freaking Bob Orton wearing a pink cowboy hat. You had them shaving a midget's hair. I mean,
God.
you had him, the Piper with the whole, Hogan getting his shirt ripped off. And then what's his name? The jobber. He beating the shit
Frankie
out of
Williams.
the jobber. Frank Williams from Columbus, Ohio. And so obviously, last but not least, as Allison mentioned it before, Snooki getting hit in the head with a coconut. I mean, every single Piper's Pit was memorable.
But
Yeah.
if you're not if you only look back at Piper's Pit from Mania 1 or in WWE, you forget one key element that got him a little more mainstream. The infamous dog collar match with Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Oh, we're not forgetting that match. That match was brutal.
He legit lost hearing in one of his ears from that.
Ruptured his eardrum.
Yeah.
Thanks, 1983.
So just a few other kind of thoughts and memories. What the biggest thing that I marked out ever was I got to know Roddy on Twitter quite a bit, and he, like, when the boys were babies, I would sort of like post photos and stuff, and he would always say that they've still got god dust sprinkled on them, and I used to think, oh wow, that's such a sweet thing. And then he used to have a podcast called the Rod Pod.
Yep.
And one day I had off work when they were recording, so I thought I'd give them a call, not expecting to get through. And the next minute, I hear, hello? And I was like, oh, fuck this. I'm on the phone with Roddy Piper. and when I told him who I was, because at the time I was running my dad's pub, and he knew that. So
Oh, nice.
he goes, oh, Ben, I know you from Twitter. And I said, yeah, that's right. And he goes, you've got a bar down there in Australia. I was like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, he knows me.
That's awesome.
After the call, I had sweat just coming down my head. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then I remember sending a tweet to his wife, Kitty, who was also on my Twitter account at the time. And I said, look, just out of curiosity, how can I get a signed photo of Roddy? And then she DMs me and says, what's your address? And then she sent me that.
That's
Oh
awesome.
man, look at that. That's so sweet.
That's cool. That's great. That's awesome.
So the fact that he was alive when my boys were younger and all that, it's just like, wow, this is just the best thing ever. And yeah, just an awesome guy. Like, yeah.
So spectacular.
That's a great story.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
That's a great story. I love that story.
So,
Adam, what about you?
yeah, I mean, to be honest,
I
I was just going to say,
yeah.
Yeah, no, just because I do get a little bit emotional because he's not with us anymore and all that. But my favorite promo was the one he did with Chris Jericho around the time that the Wrestler movie came out, and I said it to you guys in the chat where he basically confronted Jericho and said, these legends of wrestling, we all have memories, and he was telling stories about how families would come up to him and say, look, I used to watch you with my grandfather and my dad and all this sort of stuff. And it was such a heartfelt promo, and there was nothing scripted about it. And I don't know if Jericho was in on it, but what did you guys think when you saw that?
Well, I'll answer this kind of first because oddly enough, that the build to that match, it was, WrestleMania 25, it was Steamboat, Piper, and Snuka versus Jericho in a handicap elimination match. Jericho going after all the veterans, all the, retired guys because of the Wrestler movie, and that little tie in there of trying to hold on to, as Jericho, I think, put it, the little fame that they had left and stuff like that. And Piper's involvement in that build and in that feud is actually what started to pique my interest into getting into the history of pro wrestling. You know, I know that y'all know about Allison. If you don't, I actually didn't start watching pro wrestling until about 2005 or 6 when I was in middle school. So up until that point, I was just more about the current stuff, what was going on. But you know, seeing the crowd react to Piper the way they did during the build to WrestleMania 25 definitely made me not only curious as to who Piper was, but who these other guys were, and as well as the history of, you know, this great sport that we all love. So definitely, you know, Ben, I'm glad you reminded me of that promo when you sent it. And you know, and that's the thing about Piper, is he did such a great job at blurring those lines between reality and you know, scripted. And I had an ending point here, but I kind of lost. But no, I thought it was a phenomenal promo, and that's, you know, again, Piper is what got me interested in the history of pro wrestling.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
That's
actually, as y'all know, I've been trekking through the stuff on Peacock, and I'm actually just finished up watching Starrcade 99. So
Sweet.
watching his feud with the powers that be, being forced to referee all those matches and stuff, has been awesome as we approach this topic.
He's
Very
always
cool.
entertaining.
Do what?
He's always entertaining. He was always very entertaining.
Oh yeah. You know, just he had that shirt that just said reality check and then yes sir that was underlined, and you know, he really emphasized the yes sir as he made his way into the arena and Nitro, and making fun of Russo and all that stuff.
I mean, it's not hard to do.
Well, no. And I think another time he did a great job of blurring those lines is when he showed up in TNA and confronted Russo. You know, I came across that promo on TikTok the other day where he got in Russo's face and said, "Are you the one that killed Owen Hart?"
Yeah.
And that's definitely what kind of made me stop and watch that promo, because I was like, oh, I got to see where this goes if that's how we're starting.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that was a interesting promo.
Oh yeah.
That was an interesting promo. I don't know what I would do if somebody told me that I killed somebody like that. I don't care if it was a shoot or a work, bro.
well, I
I mean,
mean,
Russo looked very scared.
He did.
to be fair, Vince Russo does deserve some of that blame.
Absolutely.
Russo deserves his flowers. He definitely deserves his flowers. He did some good stuff with Vince McMahon and WWE, but
None of it. No
not as
credit.
important as he thinks he is.
No credit goes to Vince Russo. No
No,
credit.
I mean, I think, look, he was a good writer. He had good stories. You know, a lot of people said he had some good ideas, but I mean, that's really as far as it goes, though. And look, I mean, we all can only go so far in our jobs, right? I mean, like, there's only so far I can go before I kind of hit my ceiling, and then that's where you are. And it's not like I'm not good at my job. It's just like that's just where I am. I'm good in my wheelhouse. I've had good days. I've had bad days. I've had mediocre days. I just think that a lot of times people just so focus on that crap that they just can't be accepting of what good they've done. He doesn't have to change the wrestling world. He just has to be a part of that. And he was, and that he was a good part of that. You know, like Piper was an excellent part of WrestleMania. You know, you needed all 4 guys or 6 guys if you want to add Snuka and Bob Orton in there, but all 6 of those guys had their own part to play in, and everybody was good at what they did. You know, Bob Orton was the great lackey, you know, sidekick kind of guy, but you know, he was never going to be world champion. But he was great at what he did.
Back to Piper for
That's
a second.
it. That's the other good thing about Piper, is that he was the hottest heel, but he had to have this bodyguard.
Yep.
And I always thought that was quite funny,
He's my
because it's like,
bodyguard.
I'll get someone else to do my dirty work for me.
Yeah.
Allison, do you have a question on the bodyguard?
I had a crush on Roddy.
Rock and roll on that one.
Uh, I mean, from the day I saw him until unfortunately the day he died.
Yeah.
One of the better things he did, one of the more interesting things he did outside of the ring was Bob Costas, I think it was. The when he pulled down his pant to
When him, Sting, and Medusa were on Bill Maher.
Bill Maher, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was Costa.
And Bill Maher being Bill Maher, trying to be, it's all fake, isn't it? You guys don't really get hurt.
Oh Lord.
Piper pulled it, got up, unbuckled the belt and everything, pulled his pants down. Hey, bud. Pulled his pants down and showed that scar from his hip surgery.
That's the old school Piper coming out.
Yep.
Piper's great. Like with that, that's why I say interesting. In my opinion, in a good way. That was a good, like, when people called it fake, I got hot like Piper. Like, let's settle the score. But more notably, he actually had some success in Hollywood that we should talk about.
I think we're gonna just put it on hold for right now, Jimmy.
Okay,
We'll let Adam get situated.
I was on a rant. I was on a.
You need a few more minutes, Adam? Do you need a few more minutes to get
Oh
situated?
no, I'm good. Sorry.
Sure. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, we'll do a quick countdown, Ben, or we'll just leave this in.
Leave it in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just leave. Yeah.
Leave it in
Will
the
do.
book. All right, but Jimmy, that's a great. I think what's great about Piper is we can go on, and I think we can have a nice conversation just going back to some wrestling stuff. But I think it's a great idea to kind of bring that up, Jimmy. I know you want to give your. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we table this conversation until your segment, because your segment is actually about what we're going to talk about. So why don't we leave it for your segment? We'll talk about his movies.
Okay.
All right, it sounds cool. Couple more wrestlers. But Jimmy, why don't you tell me when you first encountered Mr. Piper?
On a Monday Night Raw in 2006, I had just gotten in that summer, and that fall, Ric Flair had gotten into it with the Spirit Squad, and to the point where the Spirit Squad were the World Tag Team Champions at that point. And Ric Flair was heading into a match with the Spirit Squad at Cyber Sunday as the interactive pay-per-view. There were 3 choices to be Flair's partner for that World Tag Team title match. Dusty Rhodes, Sergeant Slaughter, I believe, and Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper.
It's not Rowdy Piper.
Shut up. And I didn't get to watch the pay-per-view live, but I got to see the following night on Monday Night Raw that Roddy Piper and Ric Flair had won the World Tag Team Championships. And I thought that was so cool and going full circle to this last February, I was at Pondwater Dave's house home with him and his lovely wife Stephanie, and he had graciously allowed me, Adam from Bama, and Frank Bruno to attend a wrestling show. But on his wall, he had a World Tag Team title. It said Ric Flair, but all I could think about was Rowdy Piper having that title as well with him.
Nice.
And so, and I like the quote when you think you have the answers, I change the questions.
I like it.
That's always stuck. That's stuck with me over the last 16 years.
Well, you
17
are a
years.
bit all over the place, so I do understand that that could actually be your motto.
Mm,
It's not a lineal thought process with you sometimes. It's a whoop. So yeah, you probably do change the questions. But that's why we love you.
love you all.
So I was even thinking, like, even he stole it from Snooker.
Yeah.
It's great. Like he even fucking stole it from Snooker, and he gets.
Speaking of stealing stuff, at the water settled score, he came out in a Hulkamania shirt.
Yes, he did.
Tremendous.
It was great. It was great. That whole thing was great.
And then he did that.
And he did. It was great. It was great. I first encountered Roddy. The first match that I watched with Roddy Piper's was him versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 8. I got into wrestling around 1990, so he was an announcer when I first got in there. And then right about that time that was late 90, then 91, he started, I think when Ric Flair came in is when he started kind of wrestling again. So that was maybe like late 91. So that's when I first encountered Roddy. The first live match, I should say the first live match I watched, because I watched the Royal Rumble that year, but it was on tape. But the first live match I watched was WrestleMania 8, was him versus Bret Hart. And I don't know, I think from a pure wrestling match, that was probably the best match of his career.
Yeah.
From a pure wrestling match. Now, entertainment-wise, matches itself, probably not. It's definitely top 5. Like I would argue the dog collar match was bigger. I imagine all his matches with Hogan were bigger, or better matches rather. But I think from a pure wrestling standpoint, like that was a great match. It was a great match, great finish. Where Bret kicked off the turnbuckle while he was in the sleeper hold. It was very, very creative.
What's so good about that ending, Mike, is that Piper put Bret over clean pin at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like the ultimate sign of respect.
Because he didn't do, because I don't know if you guys really knew, but I don't think Piper really got pinned much.
Nope.
I mean, I don't think even like WrestleManias, he didn't get pinned. Like Orndorff took.
But that's the thing I was saying before about how he was protecting his character.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to.
Lots of disqualifications and countouts.
Yep.
So, do we talk about WrestleMania 6, or we just leave that for another time?
That's one of the questions.
Oh boy. Okay, we'll do it in the questions section.
Wait, question. I have one quick question
Yeah.
for Ben. Did Mr. Whitaker answer any of those questions this time?
He did not, but he's asked a couple.
Sweet.
I think he learned from last time not to do that again.
He was changing the questions. So just a couple more matches I had here. Was WrestleMania 12, his match versus Goldust. Where they beat the ever-letting hell out of each other.
The OJ bit.
The OJ bit was great. Oh my goodness, the OJ bit was fantastic.
And he insisted on doing his own stunts as well.
Yeah.
That was great. You talked about the one of my favorite promos is Ben. Actually, it was a 1996 Havoc promo, Halloween Havoc promo, when he came back after being away for so long. I remember watching that Havoc, and I remember being like a 14-year-old, I remember being 14 years old and being like, oh my goodness, that's Roddy Piper. And like, it was the coolest thing in the world. It was just the coolest thing in the world. And the match versus him.
That's when. So sorry, just on that promo, that's when the penny dropped for me with the importance of Piper, because he straight out asked Hogan, if they didn't hate me so much, do you think they'd cheer for you so much? And that's what really hit home. It's like, he's right.
Yeah. That's
Um,
that's a legitimate statement.
Going back to his match against Goldust, I think the first time I watched that was fairly recently. It was after, well, ESPN was putting on like a 10-part documentary about the OJ trial and all that. So the part that I just watched on ESPN was about the Bronco chase. And then I flip on the parking lot brawl and I'm watching it, and I'm watching the Piper, drive the Bronco. And I'm thinking, I've seen this. I've seen this recently. And then it dawned on me, oh my God, they're using the OJ chase footage.
'Cause you weren't alive in '94, were you?
I was turning 1 in 94.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
that's insane. Like it's just
I was in college.
oh God, and
Is Mr. Jefferson, when is your birthday again?
May 30th, 1993.
There's
that's insane.
I was in 11th grade.
I had
Alright.
graduated high school.
93, I was in 6th grade.
Oh my Lord.
6th grade, I was in 93. Yeah.
All right, babies, let's keep going. Just call me mom.
Jimmy wasn't even
Oh,
born at that
stop.
time.
You're only a couple years older than us. Stop.
Forever
Well, we just determined that I could be Sorensen and Adam's mom, so let's just keep going. I mean, I'd be a teen mom, but I'd still be a mom. All right,
They would be so lucky.
that's right. That's right. 'Cause I'm a great freaking mom.
Yes, ma'am.
And I mean, that's really all I kind of had for Piper. Allison, do you have any final thoughts on Rowdy Roddy Piper?
I love him and I always will. Other than that, the world is a little less without him. Young wrestlers today can learn a lot by watching back. People who want to be a mouthpiece should watch Piper's Pit. Can learn a lot from him. I mean, I always say that about Piper's Pit and Brother Love because we all know how I feel about Bruce. But honestly, whether he was a heel or a babyface, didn't matter. You could get so much passion out of him with every promo. He was a joy to watch.
Allison, was his character any different when he was a babyface or a heel?
No,
That's why he was great.
absolutely not. Sorry, I said no, absolutely not. It didn't matter. He was a joy to watch no matter what.
Yeah, cool. Well, now I think it's time for Ask the Bros, but in this case, Ask the Bros and Allison.
Yes. Or just when you think we have the answers, I change the questions. What about that?
Oh, snap.
See what I did there?
Are
All
you
right.
truly?
I was trying to be fancy with that. Like he said,
No, I know, but what are you
okay.
thinking?
Dr. Shasta.
Doctor,
Do you want to put them over, or do you want to do a quick plug
How is it?
like
Yeah.
Alcarai does? It's cool and refreshing.
Cool, refreshing taste of Dr. Shasta.
Does it taste like Dr. Pepper?
Are
Yes.
you gonna start another feud? Please don't.
wasn't trying-
No, I don't think we can.
There's only
right
one
now.
feud. There's
I
only
can't-
one.
I
This
can't
way would
take it.
buy again.
There's only one feud. Me and Devin. I'm better, bitch.
Oh God, don't. I can't
Oh,
take
you
another. I
guys
can't
are
take it
idiots,
again.
Man.
It's not.
Okay.
I'm kidding,
Yeah,
Devin.
it's
Love
nearly
you.
May. It's maybe next April Fools we can
No.
plan something because
Yeah.
Allison
I'm
will
gonna be
love
on
it.
high alert.
She'll
all right?
love it.
Seriously. I don't
She
think
wants
us to do another one.
We can never do that
Allison might,
again.
Allison might strangle you.
Oh my
It's good that I'm over here. Okay.
Yes, it is.
God.
Adam's in trouble in June. He already knows it.
Okay. So first question from Mike Whitaker of the Kickout Crew. So he says, Piper was one of the best on the mic. Is there a promo that comes to mind when you think of the Hot Rod? So I touched on it earlier. I think the Jericho promo from 2009, I think it was. What do you guys think?
That one was great. The Havoc one that we talked about before. the
Mine
19
is definitely
Havoc.
when he was just berating Snuka in Piper's Pit. I said it earlier, but yeah, Snuka couldn't even talk. He was just like, "What? What?" Yeah, and then he hit him with the coconut. So I mean,
Yeah, with coconut.
Interview
beat that?
over.
I'll say, like Ben said, the one for WrestleMania 25, Halloween Havoc 96, and my third one would probably be the one he cut on Russo and TNA.
I gotta bring up that crazy promo he did where he was trying to find a team on Nitro, and and like he got his friends to come down. They're all beating the crap out of each other, and then here comes friggin' Earthquake, and
I
he's
think the promo took like half the show.
yeah, I know, it was
Gone
like a
forever.
segment.
I'd say,
Oh my goodness.
if anything, I'd say probably the Morton Downey Jr. one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So Mike's next question: if Piper was still alive and in good health, do you think he would be involved in wrestling now? And what would he be doing? Where would he be? So, because prior to his death, he was having a great time doing his podcast, I wouldn't be surprised if he'd be on the AFS podcast team, to be honest,
Especially being such good friends with Bruce.
or possibly doing a pop up in AEW and running a pit on there.
I see no question he would see we would see Piper's Pit again. No question.
Yeah, whether it be on AEW or whether it be on some indie show that's streaming on these platforms. You know what I mean? We got streaming so high alert that why not for like reality wrestling or MLW or
They'd pay. I think they'd pay for him on one of the big two.
yeah.
Jimmy, you're on tonight, man. I'm
Yeah.
impressed.
I agree.
I love it.
And I do
But
have
I also agree with the AFS. His podcast would have been picked up, no question.
and I do have a surprise question, Mr. Ben, when you're done.
Okay. Well, do you want to ask it now?
This is from one awesome Money Mike.
Sweet.
How different does WrestleMania 1 main event look if instead of a tag team match, we see Hogan versus Piper one-on-one for the WWF title? And if you had to assign an alternative role for Mr. T at the event, what would it be? Thank you, Mr. Money Mike.
Money Mike, thank you so much.
Wow. Well, we know Piper's not going to do the job. And Hogan wouldn't lose. So it'd have to be a DQ or count out. And Mr. T, I guess,
Who's this in Hogan's corner, right?
either Hogan's corner. Yeah.
Or be the referee.
I was thinking referee, but then he'd have to be unbiased. I can't see him.
I think
I
it
don't
would have
know.
been a
That's a
different
tough one.
build. I think it would have been a different build-up if he was a referee. I don't think that he would have gotten physical with Piper the way he did unless they knew that they were going to be fighting each other.
You could save the physicality for the
'Cause if-
match. That's how you get to the DQ finish.
'Cause
where-
look at Tyson and Austin. Like, yes, Tyson pushed Austin once, but you could still do that where maybe, Piper takes a cheap shot at Mr. T and something like that. And Mr. T winds up, punching Piper at the end of the match. But if you look at Tyson and Austin, like, I think if you build it that way, and I don't think, and this is what I got to say. It's tough picturing it differently because of the background with Cyndi Lauper, with David Wolf, with Captain Lou, with all those, with Bob Orton. I think it's tough because they were planning that story for months. And
Yeah.
then WrestleMania was that
I think with
culmination.
I think with the Mr. T involvement, if Water settled the score and all that didn't happen, that they could also promote this match between Hogan and Piper and basically say there's only one person that can handle being a referee, and that's Mr. T. And do that kind of angle. where you need more, not just a regular referee, but a tough referee.
Yeah. A guest enforcer, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting to think about.
It really is. And that's why I think that's one match that I would have loved to see at a WrestleMania was Hogan versus Piper 1-on-1.
But again, like as long as Piper was going to stick to his guns, like he
Piper
wasn't
might-
going to. Yeah.
I might have leeway, but Allison, what do you think?
Is she frozen?
Or
I'm
she's
frozen. What'd you say?
She frozen.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Tore her out.
Sorry.
What
What do you think of
about that
what do you
question?
think of the question?
I also don't think Piper would have won. And I think, well, I don't know. I like the enforcer role. I think that's interesting. I don't know. I mean, what else could he have really done? I guess it's hard to think
either.
about it. I don't know.
And I
Yeah.
think, Ben, to your point, that's a DQ all day.
Yeah,
And
I'm
would you
trying to
be
think
happy
about
with
how
the
the count
DQ
out would
for a
work.
WrestleMania 1 main event?
Well, I think you could have gotten away with a DQ for the first WrestleMania main event because it wasn't WrestleMania. Like now, if we
But
got
it's
a
the
DQ
big
finish-
show, like it's a big
Yeah.
hyped up
Yeah.
thing.
But as long as Hogan won, I think everybody would be sent home happy, right? Hogan must pose, brother. I think
Yeah,
as long
true.
as, because during the mid '80s, as long as Hogan won, doesn't matter how, everybody was happy. So I think he could have got away with
Yep.
a DQ finish in that first WrestleMania, Piper versus Hogan. Maybe Orton comes out and, hits Hogan, and then that's when Mr. T, knocks out Roddy Piper after the match, after everybody's disqualified or something like that.
Well, I guess also
That's-
after the
about.
match, like the next week or something, Piper could also say like, you didn't pin me, Hogan. Like it doesn't mean anything.
But
'Cause if you
Gallagher, I
think
like
about
what you
it-
said. I like the punching him out after the match
Yeah.
thing, Mr. T. That actually makes sense. That's how that could work.
Yeah.
Then you still got the feud. You still got send the crowd home happy.
Yep.
He doesn't lose.
All right.
Good question,
So
Mike.
Mike Whitaker, his final question: is there anyone today that reminds you of Piper in ring or on the mic? And obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is MJF for me.
That
Like
was it for me.
he's even adopted the tartan pattern on his scarf after Piper.
Yes. Yeah. I think I think somebody on the mic like Piper is Seth Rollins.
Oh,
And I think if Seth Rollins can keep tapping into that heel persona, because he dresses everybody down, he says what's everybody's thinking. Like, I'm just trying to think of wrestlers that just kind of say what we're thinking. And I think Seth Rollins is one of those guys who he's got a great gift to gab. Roman Reigns, I think Roman Reigns is probably can be now that he's that heel character. But that would be my choices for the current wrestlers.
So I have two. I see a little bit of him in The Miz.
Good one.
And believe it or not, I see a little bit of him in Rhea Ripley.
Ooh, that's an interesting take. I can see that.
Because she's very confident, and I love that about her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jimmy and Adam.
I'm going to throw this one out there. I'm not too sure of it myself, but when you're talking about on the mic, what about Kevin Owens?
I was just thinking him. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
Good one.
The reactions and the passion that he can bring out from fans and himself when he really gets going on the mic, definitely give shades of Piper.
Yeah, I'd say more Kevin than MJF.
Okay. All right.
Piper
Up
was
next
in-
is Devon Dowling.
Yeah, I was gonna say Piper was an ass kicker too.
Yeah.
He
That's
was
what I
an
like
ass
about the
kicker.
Kevin Owens analogy.
All
Like-
right.
It's like you almost don't even want to get not. It's like you don't even want to take a punch from Piper.
Yeah.
Well, he's got a boxing background too.
Yes.
So, okay, Devon's got 3 questions. First one, if the Hot Rod was a pro wrestler today, who is one wrestler you'd love to see him feud against?
Kevin Owens
Yeah. Owens.
with that boxer and
I'd like to see him beat the shit out of MJF, honestly.
well, it'd be a slaughter fest with Piper winning against MJF, because MJF got no chance.
Those promos would be something else.
Oh, for sure.
Piper would slaughter.
What about you, Alison?
I'm trying to think who I'd really like to see him go against, and I actually think I'd like to see him go against somebody a little different. I think I'd like to see him go against somebody like maybe like a Drew McIntyre or maybe
Sheamus?
even like
Sheamus?
Adam Cole, maybe
Baby.
Why Drew?
somebody who's a little more opposite style than him, because it would just piss him off. And I love him. I loved a Mad Piper. Like that I loved that when he didn't know what to do in the ring and he was just like, can you just fight me? I loved that.
Yeah.
So
Why-
I
why
want to see him.
Drew?
I want to see him fight somebody who he just hates.
Like where
So
he just pounces on them and starts throwing punches.
Exactly. That's
Oh,
the Piper
yeah.
I love. That's what
So-
I want to. That's what I miss.
So Drew with the technical aspect and not because with today it seems like Drew and Sheamus are more brooding.
Yeah,
Well-
I don't like that. I like the old Drew.
Fair enough. Okay, I can see that. I can see that point now.
Yeah, I'm not a fan
Alright.
of today, Drew.
Next question from Devon. Roddy at WrestleMania 6. What's your opinions? I mean, obviously it hasn't aged well and it wasn't really accepted back then in 1990. So
What was
do we
six?
just move on?
What happened at 6?
Yeah,
Uh,
remind me.
He
Well,
painted himself half black.
Half black.
Oh.
That's funny.
So
Thick and twisted.
question 3.
Yep. Change the
Alright.
questions.
Now this is an interesting one. What's cooler, being in Saints Row 4 or being Cody the Crusader Cowboy Conway on Walker Texas Ranger?
I always walk a Texas Ranger.
I'll always Walker Texas Ranger.
I haven't seen both. I haven't seen both episodes, so I don't know.
I mean, if you're associated with Chuck Norris, that's going to be a win. So,
That's it.
Jackpot.
Yeah.
all right. Next up, Brad Stanton from the Kickout Crew has asked me this question, and Alison, this can apply to you too because we're around the same age. So Brad says, to this day, I still cringe at Piper. Is this because he was that good at getting heat, or is he overrated? So when I asked Brad to clarify what he meant by cringe, he said, in the same way, it was uncomfortable watching me and Adam from Bama do our thing. So I don't know what he meant by that.
That was good.
All right. First out, first.
Damn it, she cut out.
Oh, you cut
how
out.
dare you? Second off, I said first off, how dare you?
Oh, okay.
Second,
You're welcome.
second, yeah.
Yeah.
Second, he was so good at it. Come on.
Yep.
How could you not love it?
Brad, you're overrated.
Brad is no.
Oh.
Brad used to be my favorite Kickout Crew member.
Now it's Bama.
Grant and Stanton.
Yeah, I must admit, after this question, Brad, I think you're going down the totem pole.
That's correct.
She gonna
But,
she
I mean-
stack you around at Top Guy Weekend.
But I mean, we've covered it before, in this episode about the importance of Piper. And even if you didn't like him as a character, you can't bag out his importance to that feud, ultimately leading to what the WWE is now, because that was such a success. And what I find the most amazing is that Piper was a top heel between 84 and 86, and widely regarded as the number one heel of all time in just that 2-year period. It speaks a lot.
It does.
Absolutely.
For the record, love you, Brad, but I was kidding, but no hard feelings.
Jimmy doesn't want any more feuds.
No more feuds.
All right.
No more feuds with the kick out group, please.
AOC. Didn't somebody have a comment about how does it feel to never win a fantasy warfare match against the Kickout Crew?
Well, easy to be when it's fantasy.
No, Whitaker said that the Kickout Crew wiped out the Zip Code Bros in the fantasy booking. So I replied and said, "Where's the block button?" I don't want to hear that trash.
Well, okay.
All right. Next question. Friend of the show, Mikhail Galerg.
Gallagher.
What is Piper's best role on the big screen? So before you guys answer, Eddie Prather reckons it was They Live, which is hard to argue.
Yeah.
Damn YouTube.
Another good. I don't know, Alison, if you've seen this, but Piper was in a movie called Body Slam.
I've
It
probably
came out
seen
in
it.
80s. It came out in 86, and it had Dirk Benedict from the A-Team.
Which is so ironic, being that he and Mr. T hated each other.
Exactly. That's right.
Does a book for me, brother.
Not a big screen role, but this was a TV role he had where he played a guest spot on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
You know what season and episode? Please.
Season 5, the gang wrestles for the troops. And then in season 9, the gang buys a timeshare.
The maniac.
What episode?
That was one of my favorite roles that he did. Those are two of my favorite It's Always Sunny
So
episodes.
Jimmy, in the second episode, he gets pulled into part of a Ponzi scheme with the gang. It's so good episodes. Those are my favorite roles by Piper too.
Last question is from Mike Bober. So go Steelers. His question is Piper the greatest heel ever? And do you see MJF possibly be able to pass him one day?
No to MJF. I think he's very good, but I think Piper is generational.
Yeah.
I don't think, you know what, and forgive me, I might be talking out of turn. I don't think there's a Hulk Hogan without Rowdy Piper. That mid-80s, that rise. I don't think that boom happens without Rowdy Piper.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
So is Piper the best heel ever?
No. No, I think I think like Mike said, every generation has their heel, but I don't think he's the best.
He's one of the all-time greats, but Piper is great for his. Roman's great for his. For that Edge probably was a good one, but yeah, I guess
I even say if you want to look at Hogan, and when Hogan and Piper faced each other again in '96 when they reversed roles, when Hogan was the heel and Piper was the babyface.
Right.
You know, I've said this before, and I'll say it till I die. Hulk Hogan is the best babyface and heel of all time, in my eyes, because he was the best heel, best babyface of all time. But I think that, I think the way Allison said it, I think is perfect.
Yep. And MJF's just a bootleg one. Cheap bootleg.
All right. So that's it for the questions.
All right, excellent. Well,
Yeah, thank
Jimmy,
you
I think
again.
you got something from the heart to show us, huh?
A couple months ago, I bought a action figure, and I thought it was really cool because I had never seen it before. They live nada. There's like can't see. I have it in plastic.
That's
just
very
wanna
cool.
keep it in the box, sort of
And
thing.
what was his catchphrase?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Great.
Perfect.
Great stuff.
That was fine.
Cool. Well, Mike's Music Corner is going to go on a little bit of a hiatus. Ben and I were kind of talking. We're going to revamp the whole Mike Music Corner. What we're going to do, and I think, I was thinking about what we were talking about, Ben. I was going to add a little bit to it. What we're going to do is instead of having all of us listen to different songs and kind of comment on it, I'm going to listen to I'm going to listen to some stuff that I've never listened to before. Listen to some music that I've never listened to, listen to songs, bands. And what I want you guys to help me out by recommending some bands. So drop them in the comments, some bands, some songs. And then what we'll do is we'll listen and then we'll give our review. And then the next time we'll report what we got to report. But please put some songs there, put some bands in there. And then then Mr. Mike over here will give his review about music. So still to come. Can't wait for that segment. But to leave you with a good taste in your mouth or something to think about, I've been listening to the song Faith by George Michael a lot lately. And the song was also redone by Limp Bizkit. And the song was also done by a band called Lake Street Dive as well. So if you guys ever get a chance, Spotify Faith or go to Apple Music for Faith and listen to all the songs. It's a really good difference. All three different songs have a good feel to them. One's jazzy, one's hardcore, and one's 80s pop. So you get a good mix of everything. Cool. So our final segment, Mr. Jonesy's jokes. We got what we got today?
Oh, Alison's excited. I just saw her.
All right.
Okay. Oh, Adam, I've got a great one in here because it's about football.
Okay.
What happens when you put your hand in a blender? You get a handshake.
Oh.
All right, number 2. My kid broke 2 of my Freddie Mercury records. Now he wants to break 3.
Oh.
Sing it. You know how it goes.
Want to break 3.
All right. Insomnia is terrible, but on the plus side, only 3 more sleeps until Christmas. All right. My wife left me because of my obsession with football. I'm quite upset. We were together for 7 seasons.
All right.
All right, last one. I told my wife I was building a model of Mount Everest. She asked, "Is it to scale?" And I said, "No, it's to look at." So there we go. That's Jonesy's jokes.
Jonesy's jokes of the week. Yeah, it definitely gets a round of applause.
Good job.
Thank you.
Those were good this week.
Mhm.
Oh, they've all been good. What are you talking about?
So, Alison, where can we find you?
Oh, hold on. I'm frozen. Am I still frozen?
No, you're up. You good?
Nope.
Okay. You can find me at Alison Faye on Twitter. And I think I'm the same on Instagram. So that's where I am.
Anything you
Alison
promote?
Faye, 1L in Allison.
Anything you're promoting? Anything you're trying to even if
no,
it's just like a school
I don't-
dance you're trying to sell tickets for?
No, I don't do anything.
Kid.
Fundraisers.
Awesome.
No,
You can promote it to our 7 viewers.
Hey, I saw we had 15. I saw that we had 15 subscribers.
Well,
ooh, I
18.
think I'm one.
Wow, nice.
I should be.
I think
You think you're one? You better
No,
be.
I should be one. I am one. I do recommend, hold on. I do recommend that everybody, while you subscribe on all your podcasts, listening, whatever stations, also subscribe on YouTube because it's always fun to watch. I always
Yeah.
recommend people watch as well because you always miss things if you don't watch.
And that's what the
And-
voyeur said as well.
Yes.
It's always fun to watch.
It's always fun to watch. Look at these pretty faces. I love looking at these pretty faces. Come on.
Thank you.
we blush.
Adam, where can
Yeah.
we find you?
At the ARJ brand for my personal stuff, at Coach A Jefferson for all my football stuff. Find the podcast Just One Man's Thoughts wherever you get your podcasts, and follow that on Twitter at Just Thoughts Pod.
Cool. James?
At OG James ad free on the Twitter. And on the Instagram, it is Jimmy Sorensen 97. And that's with a Jimmy with a Y. 97 Sorensen 97. That's SORENSEN 97. And then James Sorensen on Facebook.
All right. Mr. Jones?
On Twitter at AFS Ben Jones, and also Zip Code Bros on Twitter.
Right. And I also would encourage anybody in the ad-free family that hasn't already joined the ad-free family Facebook post. I mean, group, definitely get on there because it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yes, it is.
I will say though, ever since we started this podcast, I have not seen one person follow me on Twitter that I hadn't already followed. So I don't really know how much our promotions are really working, but I'm at Mike Gurr, MikeGRR 0905 on the Twitter. And you can find me on Facebook. Just look for my name, Michael Gallagher, and check out the Zip Code Bros YouTube, like and subscribe.
And thank you, Alison, the First Lady of the Zip Code Bros, for joining us. It's been amazing talking about Roddy Piper with you.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me, you guys. This was a blast. And I'm still awake, so that's pretty freaking amazing. So that tells you how much fun I have had tonight. So I can't thank you enough. I hope you'll have me back. And I'm very proud to be the first lady of the Zip Code Bros. So
We
thank
would we would graciously love your presence.
Excellent.
you. I love you guys. Thank
Well,
you.
And what we'll do, Alison, we'll get a contract done so that you can't appear on Kick Out Crew any further.
Oh, great. Now y'all are gonna get me into the middle of your feud.
You're
That
exclusive.
is not
You're
okay.
exclusive.
A cease
And
and desist order.
you're luck because we don't pay anything.
Oh, well, don't worry. Neither do
It's
they.
all right.
So-
Yeah, we
I'll
need a
sort it
cease-
out with Bama. Like,
Oh, great. Just what I need.
We need a cease and desist.
Oh, I can't take it anymore. I
Oh,
can't.
man. Well,
Not
from
bad.
here,
all right. No,
from us at the Zip Code Bros, we appreciate you guys watching. And yes, thank you, Allison, for joining us. We appreciate it, and we can't wait to have you back. So for us here at the Zip Code Bros, we say hello. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Say goodbye.
Well, Alison, thank you for making this show more beautiful.
Thank you
Yes.
guys. You don't need me for that, but thank you.
Aw.